Good morning, Your Honor. Craig Gates on behalf of Weberville Apartments. I have my property, Kendall, next to me, to my right.
Okay. And I know you're representing yourself still?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Gates, you want to tell me what we're doing today?
Today is the date and time for the bench trial, Your Honor.
Okay. Did we already start that?
No, Your Honor. The last time we appeared, we had a 30-minute hearing, I believe, to discuss whether there's a tribal issue. I believe the court determined there was a tribal issue due to what?
Mold, I believe is what it was.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you were going to have some sort of expert come in and
hopefully,
talk about the testing.
Hopefully my expert's not caught in traffic someplace. He should be on his way.
He's not here yet?
Not yet.
And we're not ready to go then. That's the only thing that we have today, right?
No, I had to put my property manager on. I have the city inspector to be put on the record. And I have a maintenance person to be put on the record. Because it's part of the reason for after she had her mold report completed, she denied access to any of our maintenance people to enter the apartment to do any repairs whatsoever.
Hold on for just a second. Yes, Ms. Tiny.
Yes, I have a witness that I had only paid for 2 hours for court. So could we please start with him because I only paid for 2 hours. And we're already running late, seems how the plaintiff could not be here on time nor their parties.
There's no need to snipe.
I'm not meaning to snipe. I mean, we were here on time.
Was that really necessary for you to say that he wasn't here on time? And you just made your point. You need to pay this guy for 2 hours of time. We're already into the time. Can we do that for sure?
Yes, he has to leave by I think 11:15.
Okay.
I have no objection to her putting her witness on first since they're paid experts.
So who is your witness?
I have Melvin from Michigan Pros.
Melvin?
Yes. Yes, he had came in and did a home inspection along with an air quality test with direct.
Hold on for a second. Put all that on when you're asking questions about his background and how he came to be. We're going to put you in a witness chair up here.
Your Honor, would you like a copy of everything?
That's the stuff that you're supposed to be able to introduce, and I'm supposed to just listen and to find out whether I believe that you've made your case. Or
and these are copies. These are copies of what he has to say, so you can visually look at it. I have it for them as well too.
Yeah, I'm going to object, Your Honor. I tried contacting Mr. Mullet because.
Please, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, if I can get you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information that you're providing to the court will be correct?
Yes.
Please lower your hand. What's your name?
Melvin Mullet.
How do you spell both your first and last name?
M-E-L-V-I-N.
Okay.
M-U-L-L-E-T-T.
M-U-L-L-E-T-T. Mullet. Okay. So, understand you have questions for Mr. Mullet? And if you come up to the podium, that's usually how we conduct hearings.
Oh,
you have questions for him?
So I had you come into, I had called you into my unit to do a rental inspection.
Exactly, because in order for him to be able to have anything relevant to say, I have to first of all find out if he has relevant occupation background, that sort of thing.
Relevant occupation background, what is that? I'm sorry, what?
Mr. Mullet, sir, what is it that you do for a living?
I do home inspections and mold inspections, pest inspections. Those are the three main ones we do. We do well and septic too. But.
So mold, pest, and
home.
Okay. And so as part of that, were you actually trained to perform inspections?
Yes.
Were you trained both in terms of your education as well as your work experience?
We have a certification for home inspections, certification for mold inspections.
What does that involve for the mold inspection?
It's an online training for the mold inspection. It's an online training of 40 hours. Plus, you got to go into the field with a senior person to do in-field training.
So 40 hours online.
Yep.
And then you would go and you would do sort of like a field inspection with somebody that's already licensed.
Yeah, multiple field inspections.
How many times would you have to do that?
Approximately 20 times.
Is that part of your certification?
Yes.
How long have you been certified as a mold inspector?
For almost 8 years now.
So who conducts the 40 hours of online training that you had?
That was Micro. It's just called Micro.
Okay. Are they sort of state authorized or?
They are US authorized somehow.
So they're authorized to the federal government?
As far as I'm aware of, yes.
And so you've been certified for 8 years for doing mold inspection. How many inspections have you done?
A little over 2,000 total.
And are those housing units or or business units, or what are they?
Residential and business both.
Is there any real distinction between doing a residential inspection versus a business?
Just the different building types.
So do you have your own company?
No, sir.
What do you work for?
Michigan Pro Home Inspections.
Michigan Pro Home. How long have you been employed by them?
For those 8 years.
For the whole 8 years. Did you work for them before you became certified?
No.
How long have they been in business?
Since 2006.
And are they state certified as well?
Yeah, they have the same certifications as I do. Yes.
Have you ever testified in court before?
Yes.
How many times?
Twice.
And which court have you testified before?
The one over in by Port Austin.
Was that in a courtroom like this, or was it like an administrative field?
It was the full district court, the actual district court.
So is that Portland?
Port Austin.
Port Austin. And where was the other place that you testified?
It was in Ann Arbor, but I didn't have to testify much there. The other party didn't show up.
Okay. So when you testified in Port Austin, were you qualified as an expert?
I think so. I don't remember for sure. That's been a while.
You would definitely remember qualified as an expert. So,
I mean, they took my testimony. Does that mean I was qualified as an expert?
not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
So, Steiner, I'm going to turn the questions over to you at this point.
Based on our home inspection and the air quality test, based on your home inspection, is my apartment or the building up, is it considered a safe, habitable community?
Objection. To bribe, what is?
Leading question.
Yes.
Questions that include the answer.
Okay. Based on our inspection, is my apartment safe?
Okay.
Objection.
So, how did you come to know Ms. Steiner?
She called our company for a mold inspection and a home inspection.
What would be involved in doing a home inspection? Like what did she ask you to do?
To go through, we would perform it like we do any other home inspection, just to go through and see what is wrong with the home, you know, safety issues, etc. Anything that is actually wrong with the home. Lots of the issues are not safety issues. Some are, you know, when we are looking through homes like that.
So what delineates the difference between when there is and is not a safety issue?
So if it is a safety issue, it can be, you know, hazardous to somebody's health essentially, or I guess, you know, something that could harm somebody in some way.
So could harm is not the same as will harm, though.
No, it is not.
Because mold can be harmful. Like, for example, I have mold in my bathroom, right on the ground, outside of the shower. Mm-hmm. That would not be considered to be harmful or safety.
Typically, no. I'm not there to make that call. I'm there to see if it is active or if it's in the air and that type of stuff.
So if it were in like the heating and ventilation system, that might be a different type of situation where it might be more inclined to be a safety issue in terms of the ventilation system.
Yes, it could be, but every individual reacts differently to mold.
So just because there's mold, it doesn't mean that there's necessarily a health hazard.
That is true.
Would it be correct to characterize it as active versus inactive mold? Is that kind of what you look for?
Yes, our samples tell us if it is active or inactive by growth on it.
And you use some sort of machinery in order to determine whether it's inactive or active?
Yes.
What type of machinery do you use?
There is basically an air machine. It draws 150 liters of air through the machine in a time span of 10 minutes to gather the spores that are in the air. And then there is also a method of direct sampling, which is
like scrape a sample or something.
It's a tape, a 1 inch square tape that you put down on the what you suspect is mold and pull it up, and then you send it to the lab.
And did you do both of those things?
Yes.
Can you do both? Yes, definitely. Is that so? When normally you're dealing with science, you look for what's called a standard way of examining information, so that there's consistency between, like if you were to do an inspection and somebody else were to do an inspection, is there like a standard that people that do inspections are supposed to engage in? Because you mentioned 2 different types of tests.
Yes.
So when a person who is in your line of work comes out to do an inspection, is it required of them as sort of the standard within the industry to do both tests, or can they do either or?
Yes, it is. So if you find visible mold, it's a standard to take a direct sample of that visible mold. And if there's different areas of it, you know, that would be considered, you would do it, one of each area, you know, completely different area. Or like the air samples, they do 1 per floor or 1 per 1,000 square feet is the standard on that.
It's a pretty small area, isn't it?
1,000 square feet is 33 1/3 by 33 1/3. So that would be the air in that area, typically.
Maybe I'm having trouble visualizing this. If you were to kind of divide this room into quadrants, what would be the sort of area that you're talking about?
The 1,000 square feet would be approximately from here to that corner and the width of the room.
Oh, so that's actually a pretty good size.
Yes, a typical home is 1,500 square feet on the main floor.
Well, that gives me a better frame of reference to understand. So why did you do both a direct sample and an air quality sample in this particular situation?
We always take the air quality samples because we cannot see in the air. So that's a given immediately. And the direct samples, we take them when we find something that we suspect is mold.
And so you found something that you suspected was mold in this
Yes.
situation. And you tell whether it was active or inactive, which is why you did a direct sample.
Yes, you can't visually tell. It has to go under a microscope to be able to tell.
Is there anything that you've learned over your 8 years of experience that would tell you that there are certain safeguards or certain tells in terms of maybe making sure that the information that you're gathering or the results that you're achieving are accurate? You understand my question?
I guess I don't fully understand.
So sometimes in science we talk about things like false positives.
Okay.
And so you try to guard against having a false positive with respect to the methodology that you use. And I'm just wondering if within the ambit of what it is that you've done over the 8 years that you've been doing it, you've come to an understanding that you have to put in place certain safeguards to make sure that results are bona fide.
So for the air samples, we take a control outside. That is our false positive essentially. And we call it the baseline, but that's the false positive. The direct samples, there's, it's literally what was on that, what you took out, because it's a tape. You can't change the factor of it.
So does actually do the determination, or is it sent to a laboratory or someplace like that?
The laboratory does the determination. I do not.
So is that true for both the direct sample as well as the airflow sample?
Yes.
What laboratory do you use?
It's Hayes Microbial Consulting.
So you don't actually make the finding, Hayes does.
Hayes makes the finding. I do not.
Where are they located at?
They are in, I think it's Virginia. Let's see if I can have it. I have the address here. Yeah, it is in Virginia.
And are they like federally licensed to do what they do?
Yes, they are. They are a licensed lab.
All right, Ms. Steiner, you want to try this?
Does black mold create or produce mycotoxins?
Objection. I don't think he did any basis for.
Ask him that.
Okay.
Why you can't ask him that? Because you're assuming that he has a level of expertise that he hasn't said that he has.
On your level of expertise, does black mold create mycotoxins? Or am I saying that wrong? Really?
You are wasting upon him a level of professionalism that he has. Right now, from what I've heard, probably the only place that would have the level of expertise that you're talking about is Hayes, the laboratory. But remember what he just testified to, that I go out and I perform the test I take the samples that I get and I send them to the lab. The lab tells me what the findings are. So you're asking about what the findings mean without him having that expertise established. He's basically saying that I go to the lab. They tell me what it is that I'm asked to look at. That's where the objective information is.
Okay, then during your training and education, do they educate you on different species of mold and what they produce?
Yes, they tell us what they produce, but we do not look at them under a microscope, no.
So in your training, does it tell you what molds produce mycotoxins?
During our training, it says certain molds can produce mycotoxins.
Okay, and is one of those black mold?
Objection, Your Honor. I think black mold is not a defined term at this point. The expert has to be asked about if he knows what.
Actually, he hasn't been qualified as an expert at all.
That is correct. The witness has not testified as to whether his knowledge of black.
I'm trying to make sure that we're using our time together as efficiently as possible. I just said a moment ago that the real witness in this case would sound like it would be the laboratory, somebody from the lab. Just trying to see what it is that we can get from the situation based upon what it is that we have in the courtroom. I mean, I don't know your case. I'm just acting as a person who has some experience to understand what questions should be asked.
Correct, and in our air analysis and our direct sampling, Stachybotrys, which also is called.
Objection,
You
she's.
testifying now.
What was that?
You were testifying.
I was testifying.
What your statement you were making was testimony.
Well, then I guess I have no questions that their lawyer asked. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to ask, Your Honor, as I'm not a lawyer.
Steiner. To the podium. I think we've been together probably about 40 minutes or so, and I've bent over backwards trying to help you to see how to do this. You should not be trying to get frustrated when I'm doing anything possible within the rules, because remember this, that's a lawyer for you. I'm the judge that's supposed to just be making a decision about what's happening.
I understand that, Your Honor.
I'm trying to be patient because I'm trying to help you as much as I can.
And I'm sorry, and I can't testify to tell you what, I can't remember things that easily. I can't, due to I can't testify. So how do I,
I am actually probably been doing more in terms of coaching than I'm supposed to do. But
that's why I said, I guess I will let their lawyer question what they would. I don't know what I'm supposed to ask, Your Honor.
Do you have any other questions that you would like to ask Mr. Muller? We'll see if we can find a way to make sure that it's a proper question.
And I'm not sure what to ask. I know he did a home inspection, an air quality test, and a direct sampling in my unit.
Okay. So why don't we take 10 minutes and I will let you have a chance to gather your thoughts about what it is that you would like to be able to ask. Maybe you should talk to him in 10 minutes about what it is that he thinks about the inspection. Chance to gather your thoughts, but talk to him. Okay.
All right.
Ready? All right, we're back on the record with regard to case 23-2777. This is Woverville Apartments versus Steiner. Mr. Dates.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Steiner. We've come to an agreement for a consent order for conditional dismissal. pursuant to section 3 of this conditional dismissal, defendant Tracy Steiner agrees to vacate the apartment / property on or before February 23rd, 2024. If she fails to do so, a judgment and writ of eviction would enter pursuant to section 4B. Partial payment will not prevent eviction. And I explained to her rights of admission court rule. I believe the court has in previous court hearings as well, and we have both signed it, Your Honor. May I approach?
Please. Senator, if I can get you to go back over to the podium, please. Is what Mr. Date said accurate?
Yes.
I want to make sure that you did this voluntarily. In other words, he didn't threaten you or force you to get you to do this. Is that right?
Well, besides the fact that I'm gonna be eaten up in court, so I might as well do that. Yeah. I get it. It's fine. Yes, I agree to it, Your Honor.
I mean, he didn't make any promises to you to get you to do this.
No, sir.
Okay. So you do understand that if for some reason there is a failure for him to go forward, there's something called 56-day rule. 56-day rule means that if he takes more than 56 days to enforce this, then he has to come back and explain to me why it is that he did this, because we don't like for landlords to be fooling with people. So it almost creates a sense of urgency for him to make sure that he stays on top of this. You understand that?
Kinda.
It's hard to represent yourself, which is why we have rules in the state of Michigan. All licenses, the rule that says that a person has to have at least a minimum level of competency in order to be able to represent somebody. But we allow people to represent themselves because you're not making money off yourself. If somebody's making money off you, we need to make sure that they know what the hell they're doing. This is not easy to do. We actually have to spend a lot of time in school to learn how to do what it is that we're doing. So basically, I can't really help you because I'm supposed to be the person making the decision. And if I tell you what to do, and I'm supposed to be the person who's actually making the decision about what should happen as a result of what people have presented to me. So when I was telling you before that I probably helped you a lot more than I was supposed to, I want you to understand where that comes from. One of the things that I hate most about listening to people that have been in court is when they say, well, I was in court, but I don't know what happened. That's why I did what I did. So I have to make sure that you have an understanding of what was going on. Important in terms of the process.
I appreciate that, Your Honor. I'm not competent enough to do this on my own.
Listen, well, competent is a bad word. You're not experienced.
Does my brain function the way it is right now? No.
Yeah. But I just felt like I need to talk to you just to kind of explain things to you. Because I know that there's a whole lot of emotion wrapped up in your face. To make sure that I'm trying to do my level best and kind of help you to understand. All right, well, I'm going to sign this and we'll send the file down to the clerk's office and they will produce what's called a true copy, which will be your copy of the document. You don't have to wait around for it if you don't want to. It should be ready in a few minutes. I'm not sure how busy they are downstairs, but they will mail it to you if you don't feel like sticking around. And I can tell that you probably will get there. I'll say that word.
Yes.
That you would like to leave.
You're correct.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will not keep you any longer. And this will conclude the case. Okay.
I'd be happy, Your Honor. I won't wait around for a copy. I'd be happy to email a copy of Ms. Steiner today.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.